Today on Steelers Talk, I am reacting to all the latest Steelers mock drafts that have been put out there in NFL draft media over the last several days, and I'm reacting to the players that they are projecting to the Pittsburgh Steelers in round one of this year's NFL draft. Before we get into today's edition of Steelers Draft Rumors, make sure you guys get down there in the comments section, and if you want your Steelers mock draft to be featured on the show, this is how you guys can make that happen. Use hashtag Steelers down there in the comments section, along with your Steelers mock draft, all right? If you do those two things, we're going to filter through all the top Steelers mock drafts here on today's show, and we are going to feature them on a future edition of Steelers Talk, where I am going to react to your guys' Steelers mock drafts. So if you guys want to get in on that action, use hashtag Steelers along with your mock draft down there in the chat. And if you want to guarantee that your mock draft gets on the show, send in a super thanks. There's a little symbol right below this video. It says thanks on it. It's got the little money sign with the heart. If you guys send in any dollar amount along with your Steelers mock draft, that will guarantee that you get your Steelers mock draft on the show when we eventually do this video in the near future. So with that, let's start with Joel Klatt, Fox Sports NFL draft and college football analyst, who has the Steelers taking Matthew Golden, wide receiver out of Texas, with their first-round draft pick this season. This is what Klatt had to say about this pick. I'll be honest with Pittsburgh, or about Pittsburgh. I have no idea. I think Pittsburgh could use any number of position groups. Therefore, this is just a position of need. Who's going to be their quarterback this year? They've got a lot to figure out. I think they need a wide receiver. George Pickens is their only real threat, and he hasn't been all that consistent. Golden only spent 1 year at Texas. He transferred in from Houston, but he made the most of it. He was excellent for them. So listen, man, you guys know if you've been watching the show, and we've covered Golden a couple times on the show already this offseason, I love his skill set, man, and I think that he'd be a really, really good player here in the Steelers offense. He's such a great downfield threat, tracks the ball down the field so wonderfully. He's got great long speed, really excellent acceleration is really where he's special. Really good with the ball in his hands out in space. He's got some return flexibility if you need him to do that, either on kick or punt return. Got great ball skills, can make tough catches. Now, the cons are, even though, I think that he's not the best run blocker in the world, doesn't give best effort as a run blocker. So I think that's something that might turn Arthur Smith off a little bit. He does have a little bit of an injury history, and he doesn't have a ton of success and a lot of experience going up against press coverage. Because he's so fast, teams just really don't play up close to him. But in the NFL, there's going to be corners that can play press and keep up with him every step of the way. So he's going to have to really prove that he can beat press coverage in the league on the outside. Still have an easy round one grade on him. I think he's an excellent, excellent player. And I think that if the Steelers end up drafting Matthew Golden, I will be ecstatic for the Pittsburgh Steelers Football Club. But then we get to what Ryan Wilson from CBS Sports has the Steelers taken. I think I like Luther Burden III even more than Matthew Golden, folks. I think Burden is a really special player. He's already wearing the black and gold in college, baby. I think that he would look great in the Steelers uniform. I think that he's exactly the type of player the Steelers are missing in their offense and in their wide receiver core right now. And I would be jumping for joy if a player as good as Luther Burden III falls to the Pittsburgh Steelers at number 21 overall. He's got elite acceleration, just like Matthew Golden has. He has the great run after the catch ability. I think he's even better than Golden is after the catch. His long speed is really good. Great ball tracking down the field. He's got great toughness over the middle of the field, so he can make tough catches while getting hit. He's got great hands. He uses his hands to catch the football and not his body. Great vertical threat, like I mentioned, with the speed, the acceleration, and then the ball skills. And then the cons, honestly, guys, the one thing that you can really point to is that his production went down in 2024. But when you watch his film, there's nothing wrong with his film. There's an issue with the quarterback play on the Missouri offensive film. I can tell you that right now. But Luther Burden III is just fine, guys. I think that he needs a little bit more refinement running his routes, especially in the intermediate part of the field. But because of the great acceleration and all the great physical tools he brings to the table, I think he's a top 15 player in this year's class, maybe even top 10, I should say. And, I see a lot of people just doubting Luther Burden III, saying that he's not worth a top 10, top 15 pick. And, if that's the case, I'm like, good. Let him fall to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he'll show you just how good he is in the black and gold moving forward in 2025 and beyond. So I really, really hope that the doubt and, people keep sleeping on Luther Burden III, because I think he's a hell of a player, and I'd love to see him a Steelers uniform moving forward. So if you had the choice between these two wide receivers, which one are you picking? Type LB for Luther Burden III or MG for Matthew Golden. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. For me, if I had the choice between the two, I'm going Luther Burden III, but I'm certainly cool with either one. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. So in just a second here, I'm going to tell you about our sponsor today at Public Rec. While I'm talking about Public Rec, go down there in the comment section and answer this question. And with that, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Public Rec. And let's face it, guys, and let's get real for a minute. Nobody's got time for stiff, uncomfortable clothes anymore. It's February, and it's cold outside in Pittsburgh, PA, and you deserve to be comfortable in whatever you're wearing, no matter where you are on the planet, and no matter what you're doing. That's where Public Rec comes in, guys. These pants are an absolute game changer because these pants are designed to be as comfy as your favorite sweats, but way more stylish. We're talking super soft fabric, no stiff seams, and enough stretch to keep up with whatever your day throws at you. Public Rec isn't just about pants. They have so many great style options, whether you're working all day in the office, running errands, or just grabbing a drink with the guys. And I can tell you guys this right now. Once you put them on, you're going to wonder why you never wore anything else. So this February, stop settling for the same old stuff, especially when it comes to the pants that you're wearing. Step up your comfort game with Public Rec today, because for a limited time only, our listeners get 20% off your entire order with code CHAT20. It's right down there in the bottom of your screen right now, CHAT20 at publicrec.com. That's 20% off when you use promo code CHAT20 at publicrec.com. And it's more than just pants, guys. You guys can get shirts, polos, all that great stuff from Public Rec. I love how breathable and stretchy and premium the materials that they use with these products. I wear them every single day here at the office. Big shout out to Public Rec for hooking us up, by the way. But the pants are a big game changer for me, guys, because I can never find pants at a department store that fit my size. And I can honestly rarely find pants in a department store or online store that fit my size. But with Public Rec, you get the customized sizing options, which allow me to get my perfect fit every single time for every single purchase I make, and you can do the same right now. So this February, treat yourself right, because comfort is always in season. Upgrade to Public Rec and feel the difference today. For a limited time only, you guys can get 20% off at publicrec.com by using code CHAT20 at checkout. Just head on over to publicrec.com and use code CHAT20, and you're all set. Oh, and when they ask you where you found them, be sure to mention our show, Steelers Talk by Chat Sports. It really does help us out. Find your perfect fit and never compromise on comfort again. Public Rec, where comfort rules. So now let's talk about Pro Football Focus's 7-round Steelers mock draft that they just released earlier this week. We'll start with who they have the Steelers taking in round 1, and they're going to go corner here, Azariah Thomas, out of Florida State. And this is somebody that really fits the Steelers mold of a starting corner. He is long, he is physical, he does get a bit too grabby at times, and he's not the best in zone coverage. He's more of a man specialist. But you guys remember how high I was on Renardo Green last year out of Florida State, and he went to the San Francisco 49ers and absolutely balled out in his rookie season. I think Thomas could be a very, very similar projection here, and I think that he has a decent chance of going round 1 because of his long arms, his physical play style. That's the type of stuff that teams that really want to play a lot of man coverage are going to cherish, and they're going to want to take early on in the NFL draft. But I think the Steelers are going to go corner in free agency. All right, I think that they're going to prioritize other things such as running back, wide receiver, defensive tackle in the first few rounds of the draft. And I think that there's a very, very good class of cornerback free agents this year at the Steelers' disposal. It's not like they need a true number 1 guy. I think that I feel like that they view Joey Porter Jr. as their future lockdown number 1 corner on the outside. So they just got to get him a decent running mate that doesn't, give up a touchdown consistently in man coverage. I'm looking at you, Dante Jackson. So anybody on this list I would be perfectly fine with, except for Mike Hilton, who's more of a slot corner. But if you're looking for an outside corner, I think there's a lot of opportunities to go get one in free agency this year. So I would save the first round pick for something else. Then in round 2, Xavier Restrepo, wide receiver out of Miami. He's a slot specialist. Thought he had a really good Senior Bowl week, and I think he's a really good player. I just don't know if he's what the Steelers are looking for. I think Pittsburgh needs more of a threat on the outside, somebody that's going to be more of a Z wide receiver if he's going to be paired with George Pickens. I think Calvin Austin III and Roman Wilson are two guys that can play the slot. I think Calvin can play on the outside as well, but Roman is like a true slot specialist. All right, and that's kind of what Xavier Restrepo is. So it would be very redundant for the Steelers to get another slot specialist. And, unless Roman Wilson just absolutely sucks and, he's not going to be able to be a good player for this team and they need to address that position, I just don't get why the Steelers would take a slot specialist again in Xavier Restrepo when there's other options that could potentially thrive on the outside still available here at pick number 53. And then in round 3, the PFF has the Steelers taking Riley Mills, a very good 3 technique from the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. He's just under 300 pounds, so I can't say that I see him as a nose tackle. And for me personally, I'd rather get a nose tackle. There's some very, very good run stuffers in this year's class. And, Mills is certainly capable of doing his part in the run game, but he's known as more of a 3 technique, penetrating type of player, somebody that's going to be more of a pass rusher than a true run stuffer. So if you get a guy like Riley Mills, that will work out fine. You replace him and put him in Larry Ogunjobi's spot at the 5 tech, but that also means that Keanu Benton, who I think is more of a fit at 3 or 5 technique, a more penetrative spot, is going to have to stay at the nose tackle and take on double teams. And I think that you're kind of wasting his potential by keeping him at the nose. So honestly, I don't love this pick either. Then in round 4, you get Will Howard, the quarterback out of Ohio State. And, round 4 is about right for drafting Will Howard, in my opinion. I think that Howard is a decent level quarterback prospect that's probably going to be a backup in the league. I think that he gets the ball where it needs to go. I think that he throws with some decent touch over the middle of the field. I think Arthur Smith will appreciate that. But I don't know if he has super high level arm talent. I think he's a good athlete, not a special athlete. Certainly not a difference maker in terms of running the football at the professional level. And I think that he's probably going to be somebody that's a pretty decent backup in the league. So I don't mind a 4th round pick being spent on that if you need one. But if you're hoping that Will Howard's going to be the future of the Pittsburgh Steelers at quarterback, I think you're going to be disappointed with that. Then in round 5, they finally have the Steelers going running back here with Kalel Mullings, running back out of Michigan. And Mullings is certainly a decent wide running back. I think this is a really good running back class. And honestly, I think Mullings could potentially be a late day 2 type of guy if this was a normal running back class. But, this isn't a normal running back class, and I don't think that he's a difference maker. And I think that's what the Steelers need. I think the Steelers really want to lean into the run game. They want this offense to operate like the Eagles or the Ravens. They want to run the football a million times a game, and they want their opponent to not be able to do anything about it. I don't think Mullings is the type of guy that's going to be able to get this run game to that level. I think he's a good player. I think that he could be a decent rotational piece for a run game in the future, but I think the Steelers need to be spending an earlier draft pick on a running back, somebody that can be a little bit more of a day 1 impact. Then we get to round 7 here, and I actually love this pick from PFF. This is my favorite pick in the entire mock draft. Efton Chisholm III, wide receiver out of East Washington. There we go. I'm so used to saying Siobhan Rebel Jr. and saying East Carolina that I forgot about Eastern Washington. And this guy, Chisholm, number 1 graded wide receiver in all of college football last year with a 92.0 PFF grade. He was in the 20s of forced missed tackles last year. He's got a great stiff arm, as you guys can see on screen right now. And, I think he's got some physical limitations that are going to prevent him from going higher in the draft. But as we saw with guys like Cooper Kupp, who also came out of Eastern Washington, by the way, these guys can potentially play in the league. And if the Steelers can get this guy in round 7, that could potentially be like a Jalen Coker kind of pick. You guys remember Coker out of Holy Cross last year, eventually went to Carolina, had a really good season, his rookie season. I think Chisholm could be that kind of sleeper wide receiver in this year's class. Then we get to round 7, Luke Newman, a guard who would be a depth piece for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think this is a fine pick. This is somebody that came over, I think, from Holy Cross. Speaking of Holy Cross, I think he went from Holy Cross over to Michigan State, and he didn't allow a single sack from the guard spot in 2024. So if you're looking to solidify, your ranks inside the interior of the offensive line, 7th round pick, if Newman's there, I think that is a perfectly fine pick for Omar Khan and the Steelers to make. So overall, because I didn't agree with some of the placement and the timing of some of the picks, I'm going to give this a C-. Now, you do get some good players in this draft. I just don't know if the timing and, the players themselves and the role and the fit that they would play in this with this Steelers team is necessarily what the Steelers are going to be looking for. You guys can see here with the PFF mock haul, like Restrepo is a slot specialist. I don't think the Steelers need another one of those. Riley Mills, I'd rather get a true nose tackle than another penetrative player. Azariah Thomas in the first round, I think you're going to get a veteran corner in round 1, so I don't, or in free agency, I should say. I don't necessarily love that pick. But some of the later picks, Efton Chisholm III, Luke Newman, I think would be excellent picks on late day 3. So let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section, A, B, C, D, or F for that mock draft. And don't forget, for you guys to get your Steelers mock draft on the show and for me to react to those, you guys can use hashtag Steelers down in the comment section below this video to give me your Steelers mock draft. And then don't forget as well, if you want to guarantee your mock draft gets on that show, you guys can send in any dollar amount, super thanks. It could be $1, $2, $5, $10. Doesn't matter. If you guys send in a super thanks this week along with your Steelers mock draft, you will be on the mock draft video and the reaction video that I'm going to do soon here on Steelers Talk. So make sure you click that subscribe button for that show and every single show that we do on this channel for the foreseeable future. We give you guys the most extensive Steelers offseason coverage anywhere on YouTube, 100% free. So if you want extensive coverage here on the Black and Gold, make sure you click that subscribe button right now.